الو السلام عليكم ازيكم عاملين ايه. Today I wanted to answer a very important question, which is which Arabic should I learn? Okay, let me tell you a couple of experiences that I had with answering this question, or a couple of experiences related to this topic. A couple of days ago, I received an email from one of you guys. It was a guy, and he sent me an email telling me about himself. My name is blah blah. I'm this much old, and he told me where he's from and all of that. And then he told me I would like to learn Arabic. And of course, since my channel and page and everything teaches Egyptian Arabic, I assumed that he already knows what Egyptian Arabic is. So, because in the past a bunch of people wanted to learn Standard Arabic, and then found out that I teach Egyptian, and then they were confused, like why I didn't want to teach them. So, because I had this experience in the past, where people want to learn Standard Arabic and I tell them that I can't teach them, I can only teach Egyptian Arabic, and then they were asking me, what do you mean? Like, what's the difference? Well, here's the difference. Standard Arabic, or Fusha, is the language used in any written thing: documents, school books, bills, anything written is going to be written in Standard Arabic, Fusha. But what comes out of people's mouths, that is very different from Fusha. Like what? Let me give you an example. For example, let's say you are an American living in America. See the way you speak with your friends, okay? Can you imagine a legal document written the same way you speak with your friends? Never. If you grab this legal document and you read it, you're going to find terms and words that you never use with your friends. Okay? It's going to sound formal, right? Yes. So, this is one of the biggest differences between Fusha and Egyptian Arabic. Okay? It's just like that, but even more. So, you see that degree between your English with your friends and the English used in a document? It's even bigger than that. It's a bigger gap. Yes, because the difference between a legal document English and your English is only a difference of level, okay? Like you're speaking at a lower level than a legal document. It uses higher level terminology, like maybe more proper grammar and so on. But the difference between Egyptian Arabic or any other country, not just Egypt, like if you go to Lebanon, if you go to Saudi Arabia, every country speaks its own version of Arabic or dialect. So the difference between Standard Arabic and the dialects is even bigger than the difference between your spoken English and English in a legal document. Can you imagine? Yeah. And so I get many people who don't even know that there are dialects. They think that Arabic is just one thing and that everybody basically speaks it. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit more. Now we established that Fusha, or Standard Arabic, is used in all written things. Let me give you a more personal experience or example. For example, when I first came to Egypt, I was around 13, and I came to the Egyptian schooling system, and it was very different than England, of course. But anyway, like when we were studying, let's say, history, I was studying history of Egypt, of course, and it was in Arabic. But what kind of Arabic was in the book? It was Standard Arabic, okay? It wasn't the Arabic that I speak with my mother at home. It's not the same that I speak with my friends. No, it's different. How different? Let me give you an example. Let's say the king or the pharaoh went on a went to battle and he destroyed this town or whatever. In an Egyptian Arabic, I would say الملك راح وحارب في المدينة. الملك راح وحارب في المدينة. But in Fusha, we would say something like ولقد ذهب الملك وشن الحرب على مدينة blah blah blah. So you see, we were using different verbs, okay? I said راح. In Fusha we say ذهب. Okay, راح, ذهب. Sounds like a different word, doesn't it? Yes. So that is how big the difference is. But when you're speaking English, you say go or went. And also, in a legal document, it's going to be went, or I mean like a history book. Yeah, so it's the same word. That's an example of the difference between Egyptian Arabic and Standard Arabic. Okay, let's look at another example. In school in Egypt, I was learning Arabic. We had the subject Arabic. The Arabic that I'm learning in school is not Egyptian Arabic, of course. It's going to be, or it was, and will be forever, Standard Arabic. Okay, so you might be wondering, it should be easy for you, right? No, it wasn't. And not just me, like the guy who just came from England, of course, speaking English perfectly and kind of struggling with Arabic. Well, not just me, it was everybody. Everybody had trouble with Standard Arabic. Why? Because we don't speak it. We don't speak Standard Arabic. Okay? Let me give you an example. In Egyptian Arabic, if I want to say I played, we say أنا لعبت. أنا لعبت. Okay? Easy, simple. In Fusha, we need to add diacritics. تشكيل, حركات. What's that? It's those tiny symbols around the words, like those vowel sounds and so on. We don't know them because we don't say them. Okay? لعبت, and that's it. But if you're studying Fusha, it should be لعبت. There's this u at the end for the doer of the action, فاعل, if you know what I'm talking about. So, when we study Fusha in school, and then the teacher says الفاعل مرفوع بالضمة. To me, like, huh? What's this? I never said it before to my mother. I never said it before to my friends. So it's kind of new to me. Okay? So that's why we might struggle with Standard Arabic in school. And also, the teacher is teaching us Standard Arabic while speaking Egyptian Arabic. So he's explaining to us in the normal dialect rules of Standard Arabic. It's like exactly, let's say you're American, and you're learning French, but the French teacher is teaching you French in English. Okay? That's not really going to make you speak French fast, right? If you're a complete beginner, it's better, yeah, because there's going to be more communication. You can understand everything they're saying, opposed to somebody speaking just French. But still, it's not the language that we can understand just by listening to it like that, okay? It has to be studied, even for us, okay? Okay, so those were a couple of experiences that you should know about. And I want to tell you also that just the same way Egyptian, Arabic, and Fusha are different, there are many similarities. What do I mean? Well, of course there are mutual words. It's the same language, but like Egyptian Arabic would be a branch or like a a sub-level, watered-down version of Fusha. For example, if we speak about grammar, Egyptian Arabic grammar would be a simplified version of Standard Arabic. So, if we speak about genders, for example, in Fusha, gendering is really, really deep and complicated, and it depends on many things. Like you have gender, you have singular, plural, you have feminine singular, masculine singular, you have feminine plural, masculine plural, and every one of them has their own adjective, and it's really detailed. But when you go to Egyptian Arabic and you have a plural word, we don't care if it's male or female. We just treat it as feminine, okay? So it's like a watered down version of the rules in Egyptian Arabic. I don't know about the other dialects, but I think it would be the same. It has to be a simplified version. That is why when you, as a foreigner, you learn Fusha, for example, you went and learned Fusha for a couple of years without knowing this crucial information that I'm telling you, that Fusha is not spoken. Nobody speaks it, okay? It's only going to be on paper. So you've been learning for 2 years, and then you decide to go to Egypt, or you decide to go to the United Arab Emirates, any country that speaks Arabic, and you go and you start speaking to people, and then what happens? People, some of them might not understand you, some will understand you, but they might laugh a little bit, and you might have an experience like that. So why are we laughing if we laugh? It's not because we're laughing at you. No, it's because you reminded us of like like a prime minister trying to speak Fusha on TV, or like cartoons that I used to watch when I was a kid. I used to watch this channel called Space Tunes, and on this channel, was it Space Tune? Yeah, it was that. On this channel on TV, I used to watch cartoons that used to be dubbed in Standard Arabic, in Fusha. So that's why whenever somebody speaks to me in Fusha, I always remember those cartoons. I'm not laughing at you. You're just reminding me of good old days. Yeah, so that's one thing. And if you speak to somebody who wasn't really educated, or let's say you go to the market, the local market, and you're trying to buy like tomatoes and stuff. Like the guy selling the tomatoes, pretty much, I'd say 70% chance he wasn't educated. So he's not going to understand Fusha because he didn't study in school. So it's going to depend on the person's education and interest also, because you have people who studied it and passed and khalas, yani, that was it. No more experience with it. And then there's another area where Standard Arabic becomes, supercharged, and it becomes Quran Arabic. And what do I mean? The Arabic in Quran, in the religion, in the scripture. Now this is like another like another higher level of Arabic, which can be it's really hard to understand if you haven't studied it yourself specifically. Like you can't just study Fusha and expect to go understand the Quran with no problems, okay? Because in Quran, like there are some words which are, how would you say, like they're old Arabic words. Like this word was used 1400 years ago and it was normal, but now nobody says that anymore. So you would have to really study like the explanation and all of that, which is specific to the verse. So the word means this in this meaning in that verse, but you can't just go and speak it, or you won't go and find it in documents, Fusha document. No, you wouldn't. So it's like a very exclusive and specific set of words. and way that can be, of course, it's not the whole thing, but like many words would be like that. So if you take any random word from Quran scripture and you ask any Egyptian or any like Arab who hasn't studied, and you ask them what is the meaning of that word, it could sound like a word that we know and say, and he might think it's that meaning, but it isn't. And then he's going to tell you it means this, and then you might think, okay, the native speaker told me it means this, so it can't be wrong, but it is or could be. So you have to be careful with your source, especially with the Quran, to understand like the real meaning of it. You would have to go to like the official explanations. I'm not going to say translations. I'm going to say explanation, which is tafsir. A translation can, when I read Quran, which is in English, and then I read the Arabic version with the with the explanation, I'm like, no, like the meaning is not there. It's not close. It's not even close. So yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's what I wanted to say about Standard Arabic and Egyptian Arabic or dialects. So to answer the question, which Arabic should I learn? It really depends on your goal. Okay? Let's say you're a guy and or a woman and you want to marry an Egyptian. It's best if you study Egyptian Arabic. Why? Because you want to communicate with that person. You want to be able to communicate with the parents. If you go to Egypt, you want to be able to like buy something on your own. That's why you're learning the dialect. But if your goal is professional, let's say you decided to become a translator, okay? Then you're translating official documents and stuff like that. So you should study Fusha because the documents are going to be written in Fusha. So it really depends on why you need it. Let's say you have friends who are from different Arab countries. Then you are in for a lot of learning because you have to learn the Egyptian dialect and let's say the Saudi Arabian dialect, which are very different in many words. But the funny thing is we understand each other from exposure. So I would say when I was younger, I never really understood any other dialect except for Egyptian. But as I grew up watching TV and like there were Lebanese actors with Egyptians and all of that, so now I think I can understand the Shami or the Levantine dialect really well. And also because I lived in Saudi Arabia a little bit and, like I had exposure, so I can understand it. Just like, for example, if you're American and you lived in England, at first there might be some things that you wouldn't understand, like some expressions, some words, and so on. But then after some time, you'll get it. And then let's say you go to Scotland or to Ireland or something, it's gonna be the same thing. You'll take some adjusting, but then it's gonna be fine. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't speak for too long. And thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And I hope to see you soon.